Hi everyone, and welcome back to my booktube channel, A Time for Reading. Hey, so we are back again, and this time for my May wrap-up. I am so excited to share with you some of the books that I read this past month. I am not going to go into every single book I read this month because this last month I actually read 18 books, which is making me decide that I do want to change how I do my wrap-ups. I don't want to wait till the end of the month. I just want to do a wrap up every few books, so more of a recent reads thing. I just feel like it's something that would just suit my reading style a lot better. And the cool thing about that is that I can do more unique TBR challenges, like ways of picking my books. I know there's a bunch of stuff that I really want to try out, and I'm so excited to get to, but in order to get to all of them, like I need to have more TBRs than just 12 a year. So I think the recent reads idea and like doing mini TBRs is just going to be a way better fit for me. To get more into the books themselves, I didn't want to go into every single book just because, like I said, there's way too many. They're all on my Goodreads. If you don't have me on Goodreads already, feel free to add me. I will put the link down in the description box so that way you can go to my Goodreads page and add me as a friend. You can see every single book I read. I'm really, really good about updating it because I love the little stats on that year in books thing that they show. So I'm like obsessed with that. And yeah, just add me on Goodreads. You'll see all the books. So to break down the star rating, I had I had 3 2-star books, 4 3-star books, 4 4-star books, and then 7 5-star books.
That's not fudge.
11 out of 18 books that I thought were 4-star and higher. Like, that's a really good reading month. It was an excellent reading month, honestly, in my opinion. There's definitely some books I didn't get to. I got to almost every single thing on my TBR, except for I'm only halfway through 1,000 Beginnings and Endings. I took it to work with the idea that, when I take lunch, I'll read. I don't take lunch. Yeah, that wasn't the brightest idea. I was also supposed to finish Crooked Kingdom. I'm still working on that. Haven't gotten to it. I was really, really hyped to start the second book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. That also has not started yet because I am still reading Crooked Kingdom, so that's where we're at right now. So, editing Sharon here. I have since lost the second book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. Yeah, I'm winning this month. And now we return to your regularly scheduled programming. Have a great day. On to my book awards. So the first book award I wanted to give was the book that survived the hype. So for me, I am highly susceptible to the hype that is given in Bookstagram and BookTube. When people are just talking about a book and saying, oh my god, this is the best thing I'll ever read. Like, it destroys it for me a lot of times because then my expectations become so much higher than the book can ever possibly compete with. And it can make the situation unnecessarily negative or just not as good as it could be if I hadn't heard anything about the book. So the book that survived that massive amount of pressure is The Bride Test. It was excellent. I loved this book. I read The Kiss Quotient last year and absolutely adored it. I thought the story was so freaking precious, and the second I finished it, I was like, what else has she written? Because I need to read it immediately. I found out that she had a book coming out that was not out yet, and I've been biding my time ever since. And this book involves a male character that is on the autism spectrum. It is an own voices narrative, and it also involves someone who has come from another country to the US and is not only building this romantic relationship with this man, but also trying to navigate being new to a country where she doesn't speak the language. And there's just so many barriers involved. I have heard some people talk about the power dynamic and things like that to them made it a less than perfect read. For me though, I felt like when I was reading it, when I read romance in general, I'm just looking for a really good time. I'm looking for non-abusive relationships, which I don't think this was. Power dynamics aside, I think in any relationship, there's a power dynamic. The biggest flaw that I would give this book is not what I'm going to mention, just because I don't want to be spoilery. It wasn't absolutely perfect. The enjoyment I got from this, the writing, just being so much fun. Like when I say I was cackling throughout this entire book, I was cackling, laughing like a freaking crazy person, just sitting on my couch, unable to put this down because it was just so much fun to read. And I cannot give this book anything under 5 stars, despite like any tiny little, like I said, nitpicky issues that to me do not take away from the overall enjoyment that I had with this book. I thought this was fun and interesting and just a really, really good time. So I would highly, highly recommend this book. Go grab it. If you like the Kiss Quotient, I feel like this is right up there. And there are cameos from our Kiss Quotient people, and oh my god, when I say my heart melted. And it was in some of the funniest scenes of the entire book. Oh my God. I want to read this again just to experience that all over again. This was such an excellent book. Now, the next book award that I want to give out is actually my surprise win. So this is a series or book that I did not expect to be as into as I was. It's basically a book that caught me off guard. Like, it's a book that when I picked it up, I probably figured it'd be like 3 stars. I'm so excited to share this one with you. So I'd never heard of the series before. It is the Unnatural series. So I'm going to try to keep this one covered. It's a little bit racy, but this is such a fun series. I absolutely loved it. I've mentioned before, like, I like graphic novels that tackle bigger issues. Certain things in this society are seen as unnatural and wrong and punishable by very extreme measures. And there's magic and there's like mythology and there's just so much stuff going on. It's such an action-packed, really fun series. Definitely has like its little bit of riskiness, but I think I've definitely seen worse. It's really not that bad as far as I'm concerned, but exercise your own judgment on that one and decide from there. But I really thought it was a fun read, and it was so interesting, and you just like, you're dying to know what happens. At least I was dying to know what happens. I thought it was excellent. The next book that I want to talk about, I probably should have put this one right after the last one because it's the exact opposite of my first award. This is the book that died to the hype. So basically, this was a book that underwhelmed me, and I think maybe the hype had something to do with it, where I definitely was expecting a lot more. Yeah, I was definitely disappointed by this book. That book would be The Astonishing Color of After. This book involves Taiwanese own voices. It deals with mental illness. It's got magical realism, super flowery writing, and tons of just like unexplained magic. And I did not connect to this book. I did not connect with the main characters. I didn't connect with the plight of the mother who's a bird. I just didn't feel attached to them. There's something about this book that for me just did not click, which I did not understand because I am the world's biggest slap. I cry at like puppy commercials. It is ridiculous. I have problems. And yet this book that deals with something so heavy and so sad. I mean, I don't understand what it was that went wrong for me. I do know there's a lot of other people who love this book. I gave this one 3 stars. I feel like there's going to be a lot of people who absolutely love this book, and I would not say don't read it. It's a beautiful book. It's like the writing is really interesting. I love how she used color a lot. There are points where that color description, I feel like it's a little bit repetitive and it's a little over the top and unnecessary at times. And I think that the descriptions, I think the language was what caused that little bit of disconnect, because I'm focusing so much on the description of what's happening and the feeling of the color and everything like that. Like, I wasn't able to connect with the emotions of the character, and I wish there was more of that. And I know the color's meant to represent it. Like, I got all that. It's just, it didn't hit that emotional punch for me, which I expected it to, which was super disappointing. And it was definitely one that I was just so excited to read because I'd heard so many good things about it. The reviews on this are so good, and yet it fell a little flat. I will say though, it's a super fast read. So I wanted to go through the books that Micah picked and pick my favorite book of the books that he picked and my least favorite book of the books that he picked. So I don't know if you guys remember, but last month Micah did get to choose part of my TBR, and the books that he chose were Sweet Little Lies, The Perfect Mother, and The Lies We Told. One of those books was my least favorite, probably of the whole month. And the other book was so good. Definitely a nominee for being my favorite book of the month. So my least favorite book of the month was The Perfect Mother. I did not like this book. Again, I did not connect with these characters at all. I did not care. And I did care for a little bit. There was a point somewhere around the middle to end where I started to care. And then the ending pissed me the hell off. The ending to me was super lazy. I do not like endings where it is literally just the only person you wouldn't suspect. Like, that's lazy. There was no clues that led this person, that unless you knew other information that really led you to who did it. And if anyone disagrees with me, please feel free to share. I would love to find more reason to enjoy this book, because that killed me. I was listening to it, I'm just like, and I listened to this on audio because I love thrillers on audio, and I listened to this and I was just like, what the actual F is going on? Like, what? I barely remembered who this person, this is so out of the blue, and it was just so ridiculous, and it was so dumb. Yeah, I wasn't a fan. I did not like this book. I was very disappointed by it just because I felt like it could have done a lot of really awesome things. I felt like the messages it was trying to put across, they were just so hit you over the head with a hammer type of obvious, like there was no nuance to it. There was no layers. After all said and done, it's just like back to business as usual. And it's like, didn't all this stuff just happen? Like, what's going on? I'm so confused. It was just so many things that were just a complete miss with this book, and which is disappointing. I did give it 2 stars. I still think there are people out there that are really gonna love this book and think I'm so full of crap for the things that I've said and just like, what are you talking about? That made total sense. You're an idiot. You didn't see all those clues. That's fine. Totally fine. This book was not for me. This is not a book that I was very pleased with at all. I don't regret reading it. I think it was still, it had, like I said, it had certain sections where I did care and I was really into it. It was just such a small part of a book that felt like it took forever for me to get through. That was disappointing. So, and then we have my favorite of the books that my nephew picked for me, and my absolute favorite was The Lies We Told. It is a domestic thriller involving 2 different families. It involves past and present, so there's alternating timelines. There is a very creepy kid. There are missing people. There are mysterious events that have taken place that we don't know about. Secrets in the past of families. Like, there's just so much going on. And I don't want to go into super detailed description of this book just because this is so good. I want you guys to actually read this, and I want you to be as surprised as I was. They definitely do go into more detail in the inside cover. If I hadn't read that, I feel like I would have enjoyed it even more. So I want to leave you guys as blind as I felt like I should have been, and I still give this 5 stars. This was excellent. And my last book. This is my absolute favorite book of last month. Possibly very, very, very likely going to be making it to my top 10 of the year. And I cannot get enough of this book. I can't wait till I eventually reread this book. It's just so freaking good. And that would be Miracle Creek by Angie Kim. This was a book from Book of the Month. The month that they put it out, I was like, I don't know. I don't think it's for me. I'm going to pass. I have enough like thrillers on my shelf. I'm not going to add another one. But then the next month I saw the reviews and people were like, this is amazing. Like, they were talking so highly of it. And just the descriptions of how people were talking about it made me decide I really wanted this book. I got it and I added it to my Asian readathon list. And my friend had read it and she was like,
oh, I thought that book was good. I just felt like it was a bit slow.
And that made me really nervous because I am not a fan of slow books. Because I'm usually really tired when I'm reading. Like, slow books just put me right to sleep. It's so hard for me to get through them. So I really like fast-paced books because it helps keep me like very focused on what's going on. So I was kind of nervous to read this. And I was like, crap. Like, did I make a mistake? Like, should I gotten something else? Like, I don't know. And then I got this and I was like, you know what? It's Asian readathon. Like, I just gotta make sure I read it. I read this in 2 days. And that's only because I was so freaking tired and it was like 1 a.m. on that first day when I put it down. And it's a slow read. It took me a while to get through it, but holy crap, did I enjoy every second of it or what? This book is so engrossing. It is, holy crap, they have so many characters and they have multiple perspectives and you're seeing different sides of people's stories of this night. And there is alternating timelines. 1 second you're learning about what happened before this like accident happened, and the other you're going to the past of certain characters, but then you're also going into the present of those same characters in a different chapter. I don't think I'm explaining this right. This book, it involves an accident dealing with a hyperbaric chamber that was basically being used for medical treatment, as an experimental medical treatment for these children with autism. And I believe one that was, they were paralyzed because of some type of illness that they had. Basically, like, it's parents and family and kids. There's just very different characters, and it deals a lot with autism, and it deals a lot with the struggles of families dealing with something like that. It also goes over like the immigrant experience. It has like a trial taking place. There's a mystery. Like, there's so many layers to this book. I honestly thought The Bride Test was going to be my favorite book of the month, and then I read this and I was like, I have nothing. Like, I was blown away by the beauty of this book. My friend called the pacing of it slow, but to me it was just absolutely perfect. There's nothing I would change about it. No one can tell you your reading experience the way you can after you've read a book. And while reviews are great, I also think that we should be better about, and this is me included, be better about using our own judgment over the reviews of others. Like, when I was a kid, I never looked at anyone's review of a book. It was like, oh, this sounds cool. And I feel like we've gotten into that time and space where people's reviews matter so much more than our own impression of whether or not we're going to like a story. And I get it. There's like we have a limited amount of time to spend reading books, and it's the most depressing thing ever. I wish I had unlimited time to read books, but that is not the case. But that being said, this is an excellent book, and for some of you this won't be for you, but I think for a lot of people, especially if you love mystery, if you love trying to figure out what's going to happen, learning about characters, like this is a thriller I'd actually reread. There are very few mysteries and thrillers that I would ever reread. This and If We Were Villains are probably the only ones that I could think of. They are the only ones I could think of off the top of my head that I would actively like look to reread. And I have done a massive disservice to the description of this book because I don't want to tell you too much. I remember I read the description of this like multiple times and I still had very little understanding of what was going to be happening. But from page 1, I was so sucked in. So just go in there, man. Just go in there, read the damn thing. To me, I felt like this was a little more interesting to get to go through books that really stood out and that I really, really wanted to chat on. I think I did hit a good number of my 5 stars. The only one I didn't mention was Evidence of the Affair, which is a short little novella by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which was excellent. It is so good. I highly, highly recommend checking it out. It's really, really quick. I think it's like 120 pages, and it's written in the form of letters. Evidence of the Affair is basically about this woman. She finds out that her husband is cheating on her by finding letters that he has been sending to this other woman. So she decides to then send these letters to the other woman's husband, and they basically start writing letters to each other as they deal with what's going on. So it's fascinating. It was so interesting. Had some twists and just really, really interesting read. I enjoyed it so much. So that's the only 5 stars that I didn't get to, so I figured I'd get to it. And that would be it for my May wrap up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you like this video and you like the content, if you like the May Book Awards, definitely hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave a comment down below if, you know, one of those books really caught your interest from how I described it. If there was another book that you think could be really interesting to me based on how I described these books and what I thought was good or bad. Tell me if you disagree with one of my opinions. I want to hear about it. So please tell me more. That's everything. So thank you. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. And I hope that you find a time for reading. Thanks everyone. Bye.